Hey, it's Zane. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video, I want to talk about the great wealth shift. We are on the cusp of the greatest wealth shift in our lifetime. And I want to explain to you why Bitcoin is front and center in this conversation and why you must be paying attention to it right now if you're not already. And if you are, maybe dabbling in Bitcoin, maybe this is the time to really dive in deeper, learn more about this. And really take your level of knowledge and learning to the next level. And in turn, that will, I guess, encourage you to start deploying your capital to it in a meaningful way. Now, I have one-on-one Zoom calls with people every single day. People come to me who are either getting started in Bitcoin, trying to level things up based on where they're at, even if they're already in Bitcoin, because they want to learn how to take things to the next level, make progress, get on the path to an early retirement, secure their Bitcoin in the most robust situation in terms of self-custody, set up a Bitcoin-friendly retirement account, all of these kinds of things. And so if you need to book a call with me, you'll see a link in the show notes. It's about a 45-minute to an hour session. You'll get tremendous value from it. And I'd love to meet you on Zoom if you need my help. Just click the link in the show notes. But let's talk about this great wealth shift and why we're here now. We have to understand that Bitcoin is a drop in the ocean of a large global market for assets right now. Now, the addressable global market for assets right now stands at somewhere between 900 trillion and 1,000 trillion US dollars. And Bitcoin right now, let's call it 1,000 trillion, is sitting at around 2 trillion. So right now, Bitcoin is representative of around 0.2% of the total market for global assets where people store their economic energy, their value, their savings, their wealth. And when we talk about that global pool of assets, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about, of course, real estate. We're talking about bonds. We're talking about shares, stocks. We're talking about derivatives, we're talking about currencies, we're talking about precious metals, gold and silver, fine art, collectibles. All of these kinds of things are all places where people choose to protect and preserve and to store their economic value. And not just people, but corporations and even nations as well. So 900 trillion to 1,000 trillion, Bitcoin is currently sitting at just 2 trillion of that, which represents around about 0.2%. So we have to understand that a lot of these assets in this 1,000 trillion are very much mature asset classes that have been over-financialized over a long period of time. Bitcoin is an emerging asset class. It's only 16 years old. However, Bitcoin has proven itself to be, over the past 15 to 16 years, as the best performing asset of all time. I'm not making this up. You can look this up for yourself. This is the absolute fact. The question is, why is it doing that? And where is this going into the future? What does that mean? What could that mean to you if you start paying attention to it? And I'm going to share with you what it could mean to you, but you've got to act. It's no point just taking in these videos or from anybody else you might be listening to on YouTube. You've got to use this as the impetus to go and do some learning yourself so that you can understand what this is, so that you can start acting upon this information. It's a great wealth shift, and if you take action on this, this is an opportunity that I believe can transform the financial future for everybody, for you, your family, your kids, your retirement. And I can't think of another way to also set yourself up in a situation where you're going to be able to leave a meaningful financial legacy to your kids. Because even if you are wealthy, even if you are well off, even if you think you're immune to inflation and to all of this centralized control that is getting more and more untenable, even if you think that none of this applies to you, I would challenge you on that. I would challenge you to look into central bank digital currencies. I would challenge you to do some research on surveillance and programmable money and what's going on in the banks right now and why they're making it harder and harder for people to access their money. All of this is a sign of things to come. So even the wealthy people, in fact, I would argue the wealthier that you are, the more of a sitting duck that you are with where we're going over the next few years. So don't just take my word for this. Go and verify this for yourself and draw your own conclusions. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to let you know, if you're not already awake to this, what's coming, and then you can assess for yourself whether it applies to you or not. This is the great wealth shift. Make no mistake about it. And even a modest allocation to Bitcoin, if your time horizon is 10 plus years, you're going to put yourself in a position where, as time goes on, you're going to be really, really glad that you took action in 2025, believe me. Here's the reasons why this is the greatest wealth shift of our lifetime. Number one, Bitcoin is absolute scarcity. Bitcoin is absolute scarcity. What do I mean by that? Things that are absolutely scarce, that have emerging adoption, that are designed as monetary instruments, that have a finite supply. What they do is they absorb the financial premium out of the less scarce assets. And so Bitcoin being absolutely scarce, there is only 21 million Bitcoin. There's 100 million fractions of a Bitcoin called satoshis. That's all there'll ever be. And that's what absolute scarcity means. When you can predictably verify how much of an asset exists, that is absolute scarcity. And when you have adoption coming and emerging demand that is going to become unlimited, and I'll explain why in a moment, what you know from Economics 101, the first class you ever took in high school about economics, supply and demand, what you know is that when you have something that is scarce or finite and you have unlimited demand and limited supply, then there's a collision that takes place, and that collision is that the value of that thing continues to go up, essentially forever. And this is why Bitcoin has proven itself to be the best performing asset on earth for the past 15 years. Not by accident, but because that's what it's designed to do. It is absolutely scarce, it is fixed, it is finite, and because of that, and because it is decentralized and nobody can stuff with it, and it's never been hacked, nobody can break it, it is continually every 10 minutes being verified, because that's what happens on the Bitcoin blockchain. There are all of these nodes around the world working together to continue to verify the integrity and the authenticity and the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. So essentially every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin ledger gets an audit. There's no other monetary system on earth that gets audited every 10 minutes. They haven't audited Fort Knox, I believe, since the 1950s. So we don't even know how much gold's out there. But when it comes to Bitcoin, we know exactly how much is there, and it's very, very predictable. So I'm not sure about you, but when it comes to your financial life, don't you want to store it in something that is very, very predictable and that can't be stuffed with? That's what Bitcoin is. And so Bitcoin is absorbing the financial premium out of all of the other assets, the addressable market for assets, the $1,000 trillion that's out there. It is going to continue to eat away at those assets. And this is why when you price your home in Bitcoin for the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The price of your home is not going up. It is falling at a vast rate of knots. It is falling very, very quickly. It is doing what it is designed to do in a natural global free market. It is designed to fall. Okay, but we unfortunately have grown up in an illusionary system where everything has to be inflated by debt. And so we all feel good because our house prices are going up. But when you price it in a currency that can't be inflated, which is what Bitcoin is, you see the absolute truth. and that is that house prices are not falling, they're plummeting at a great rate of knots. And I know it's hard to get your head around. I know you're going to argue with me. I know you think that you can't yet get yield on Bitcoin. I get it all. But trust me, I've been in real estate for many years and I've priced it all. And I can tell you that what I'm saying is absolutely true. When you do the numbers for yourself, you'll see that what I mean and what I'm saying is the absolute truth for yourself. So absolute scarcity. Bitcoin is the ultimate liquidity sponge. It will continue to outpace everything because it's the most scarce. Point number one. Point number two is global mass adoption is coming. Right now, we are only at 5% adoption globally. That means that globally, the population of this world, some 8 billion people, less than 5% have any exposure to Bitcoin. But that's all about to change. With AI coming, we're going to have a situation where many jobs, professions are going to be displaced. They're going to be disrupted. Corporations are going to become infinitely more efficient because they're going to dispense with the cost of human capital. And that essentially is going to drive the cost of human capital to zero, because when you can have AI do the same job and never run out of puff, and AI doesn't ask for holiday pay and sick leave, and AI doesn't require you to pay payroll tax, and AI doesn't require for you to pay superannuation for your employees, guess what corporations are going to do if they have a choice? They're not going to pay $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 for people to do those jobs that can be replaced by AI. They're going to choose AI because for $5 a month, they can get to good enough and close enough to the same thing that they can with human labour. 3 years to 5 years is what I predict. I might be off by 5 years, but who cares? Okay? This is what's coming. So companies are going to become infinitely more efficient at a time where currency is becoming worth less and less and less and less. So the Australian dollar every single year is going to continue to lose value. The same with the US dollar, the pound, the euro. All of these currencies are going to continue to be debased, which basically means if you're storing your value in them, you're being stolen from. You're selling out your financial future. Because when they debase currency, they drive inflation. And they have to keep driving inflation in order to prop up all of the debt. And it's as simple as that. So Bitcoin is the opportunity to opt out before the entire system implodes and store your value in a system that can't be broken, that can't be debased, where there is no inflation. In fact, what we have in Bitcoin is deflation. The price of everything around you is not going to go up when you price your life in Bitcoin. It's going to go down, meaning the standard of your living is going to get better and better and better the longer that time goes on. That's how Bitcoin works. That's what it's designed to do. Again, the world's first global free market, inherently deflationary, the opposite of the Australian dollar system and the US dollar system, which is inherently inflationary, which is why people are working harder for less. It's why families back in the late 60s and early 70s could function on one income, buy a house, build a great life for themselves, because house prices were around 2 to 3 times the average annual wage, whereas today it's about 15 times. Yeah, it's frustrating and it's what we're faced with, but this is why we Bitcoin. So we're still early with adoption. Here's what I think is going to happen. When Bitcoin gets to $1 million, we're going to see a massive flight to Bitcoin, the likes of which we've never seen before. Now, what I mean by that is all of the best judges out there predict that we're going to 10 to 12x from where we are within the next 5 years, which means that Bitcoin is going to be sitting at $1 million within the next 3 to 4 years. Now, as Bitcoin gets to $1 million, 1 satoshi is going to be equal to 1 cent. So when Bitcoin equals $1 million, 1 cent will equal 1 sat, 1 satoshi. Remember, there's 100 million satoshis per Bitcoin. We're going to then see a global frenzy. People are going to realize, okay, I haven't been paying attention to this. This is not going away. This is eating all of the other assets. I can't survive any longer saving in dollars. I can never save my way to prosperity. I can't buy a house, which is the only way historically I've been able to keep up with inflation. And so now the only way for me to preserve my economic value is to store it in a fractionalized asset, which is Bitcoin. $50 a week, $100 a week, $300 a week, $10,000 a week, $1 million a month. It doesn't matter. Whatever level you need to store your value in, there's going to be a flight towards Bitcoin. And then we're going to wake up one day and 2 cents will equal 1 satoshi. Now that doesn't sound like much. We've gone from 1 cent equaling 1 sat to 2 cents equaling 1 sat. But guess what's happened in the background? Bitcoin's price has just gone from $1 million to $2 million. We haven't paid attention to that because we are now pricing everything in satoshis, because Bitcoin is now $1 million, so nobody's thinking about buying one whole Bitcoin. What they're thinking about is protecting and preserving their savings in satoshis. And this is what Bitcoin is designed to do. So 1 cent will equal 1 sat. Bitcoin will be $1 million. 2 cents will equal 1 sat. Bitcoin will be $2 million. 3 cents will equal 1 sat, 3 million, and so on and so on and so on. And this is what's going to drive Bitcoin's value proposition over time. It is going to continue to eat the value of the Australian dollar and all the currencies of this world. And this is what we call hyper-Bitcoinization. And people like Samson Mao, they often talk about this and how we're going to have these what's called Amiga candles, where we're going to get these 10, 100, and even $1 million price shifts in Bitcoin's price in the not too distant future, because everything's going to be fractionalized and priced in satoshis. And so I want you to be thinking beyond just the price of Bitcoin and start thinking about satoshis, because satoshis is going to lead into how we participate in the global circular economy, the global first free market. And that is that you and I are going to be able to transfer value peer-to-peer, exchange goods and services, offer customers the opportunity to pay us in Bitcoin, satoshis. Why on earth would we want to get paid in dollars when we can get paid outside the system in sats, in a currency that's not losing its value overnight like the dollar? Why on earth wouldn't we want to be being paid in satoshis for customers who are willing to do that? I mean, one of the biggest fast food chains in America, Steak and Shake, they started doing that last month. And we have all these applications coming out now. We know that PayPal integrating Bitcoin payments, Square, Jack Dorsey's company, integrating Bitcoin payments into their payment software. We've got companies such as Flash integrating Bitcoin payments so that coffee shops, mechanics, hairdressers can offer their customers the opportunity to be paid in Bitcoin. This is what's coming over the next few years. And so you want to be paying attention to this. So it's not only a great wealth shift where you're going to have the opportunity to magnify and accelerate your wealth creation, but also to participate in the world's first global free market. So absolute scarcity is driving this. Adoption is driving this. Nation states are now coming into Bitcoin because they know it can't be stopped. They need to also participate in this, put Bitcoin onto their balance sheet. Nation states are going to put it into their treasuries as a store of value. And like I said, when you have a finite asset and you have infinite demand coming, what's going to happen to the price? It's going to continue to escalate, and you really need to be choosing to learn about this, and then, if it makes sense to you, storing your value in it. I want to leave that today, leave it there today. If you need to book a call with me, you'll see a link in the show notes. I'd love to meet you on Zoom. I can help you on your way with the simple next best steps. But you know, don't make today's opportunity make tomorrow's regret. That would be my message to you today. You have an opportunity today to do something about this, and I encourage you to do that. Look forward to talking with you in the next one. Thanks for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is Zane signing out.